Hey, good morning, my guys. This is Donald from the Pinstripe Chronicles. I've got my guys, Uncle T and Robinho, and I'm looking forward to getting into the chat with you guys. It's a beautiful morning. It's a Yankee morning. It's always a Yankee morning here with the Pinstripe Chronicles. So I want to wish everybody a happy holidays and a happy Christmas, Merry Christmas, whatever you guys celebrate. I want to wish you guys a happy time with your families. I haven't gotten a chance to do that yet, so I wanted to, send a personal happy Christmas to all of you guys. I hope your time with your families were good. It was a good time for all of us, and we all got decked out in our new gear. I think Robinho has some Yankee stuff on the way. I've got some Yankee stuff on the way. So, I also got some Giants loot. So even though the team might suck on the field, I got some pretty nice loot off the field. So Christmas was pretty good for all of us, I think. I even got a coffee machine, which is going to be very important for all these mornings. Pinstripe Chronicles. We're planning on getting lots of stuff out for you guys because, we got members joining here. We got the members climbing. And we want to give you guys give things back to our community, our family, the Pinstripe Chronicle family. So really excited to get into the chat today. So I want to say a big salute to everybody. Let's see what the chat has got to say. We got Medina. We got NFE. What is up, NFE? I hope you're doing, man. Dev Finch, the loyal Dev Finch, as always. We got Brad. Salute, Brad. We got Jake Boss, a member. I got FJ in the chat. Salute, FJ. Got Ken. Ken Claus is already gifting us a check. Oh, Ken Claus from the upper deck, from downtown. It's another one. So salute to Ken Claus. It continues. Even after Christmas, he never stops. Ken Claus is the only Santa Claus that doesn't stop at Christmas Day. He keeps coming. So salute to Ken. How are you doing, Ken? I hope you had a good time with your family. We got Jonathan. We got Graham Highlander. Salute to Graham Highlander and salute to Jonathan. Got everybody in the chat. So a big salute to all you guys. Let's go. So let's bring this around the panel. How is everybody? Uncle T and Robinho. Let's start with Uncle T. How are you doing, man? How are you feeling about the Yankees? Do you think the Yankees will have a late Christmas gift for you guys? Maybe a New Year's gift? What do you think?
No, I still think there's more moves on the way. I think that the Yankees are going to stay, on the ball. We're still waiting for them to kind of secure up the infield, but there seems to be a little more in the headlines the last couple of days about the bullpen and interest in, whether they're going to bring Tim Hill back. Andrew Chafin is in their sights. So I think they're really looking to deepen this bullpen, even with a really reliable rotation that can get you innings. They're not leaving anything to chance, it seems. So that's leaving me feeling very optimistic going into the new year with this new team for 2025.
And how was your holidays with your family, Uncle T?
The holidays were awesome. Got to spend some time with pretty much the entire family. And nothing is better than that. Got some grandpa time, had some father-son time, time with the parents, siblings. So it was awesome.
That's awesome. And we got my man Rob, my brother from another mother. How are you doing, man? How was your holidays?
It was good, and I got some Yankee gear coming. I got a jersey and some Yankee-colored shoes. I cannot wait for those bad boys to arrive. I love my Air Force Ones, and they got the Yankee blue on them. I'm ready to rock, but I'm hoping the Yankees are ready to add to this bullpen. At least one reliever, whether that's Tim Hill or Andrew Chafin or both. I'd be fine with that. I'm not going to go on here and suggest some psychotic trade for a good player. Why would their team trade them away? Like some people are bringing up in the chat. But get me a bullpen arm from the left side, and let's rock. I think this bullpen is really, really good. Thank you, NFE. I love tweeting those things.
Rob has been on a roll. He was cooking.
I'm hoping the Yankees are cooking some additions to this bullpen, because right now, as it stands, it's good. Cruz is a great addition. Obviously, we have Devin Williams, but I need at least one lefty. Tim Hill was really good for us last year which is surprising. He was one of those dumpster dive finds, and for cheap you can get him in, but I don't think he should be the only one. I think if you go with the second lefty, you can really complete this bullpen because that would give us some ammo to make another trade because we have an abundance of bullpen arms. If you add a couple of lefties, you can maybe move some of those with some other pieces, maybe get an infield or so. The Yankees have some ways to add some players here and then make another trade afterwards. So I'm looking forward to it. I can't wait to see what Cashman's cooking up. He's still got plenty of time, but we're a bit impatient because when's the Goldschmidt signing getting announced? It's been like over a week and we haven't even heard anything about it. So I'm excited to see what's going on next. Jared Williams, it's been a long time, my friend. Good to see you. How you doing?
I mean, yeah, I agree. I think we should get stuck into this bullpen. Let's talk about it because we haven't really done so. You know, I'm very excited about the Williams acquisition. I think that was a steal of a trade. I think we really cooked there. I think it was one of Brian Cashman's most astute moves in a while, actually. We've now got our closer situation sorted. We've actually got our number. We even got our setup man sorted now because we can put Weaver in his best spot. I think Luke Weaver's at his best when he's going to work multiple innings as like a seventh and eighth inning guy, and then we can hand it off to Williams and close the door. That means that it shortens the game. It really shortens the game because now our starters, by the way, probably the best starting rotation we've had since the early thousands, and probably the best rotation in baseball. Notwithstanding the Dodgers making further moves if they get Sasaki, which they probably will. But at the moment, certainly in the American League, I think the Yankees have the best rotation in the American League. So the best rotation in the American League is going to be asked to give you 6 innings, which they can do in their sleep. And then you can hand it off to this bullpen. And you go Luke Weaver, and then you go Williams, and that shuts the door. It shortens the game. But I still think that there is a hole in terms of lefty setup man, lefty reliever, maybe a lefty middle reliever, something like that. And that's why we were thinking about the two names that we brought up. I think Hill had an excellent year last year. And I mean, he is what he is. He's not anything spectacular, but he's a very solid arm out of the pen. I think. What do you guys think?
I think Hill really showed what his ability are in the postseason. He really showed up. He answered the call every time. He was effective. Maybe not as dominant as some of the bigger guys, the shiny toys, the big headline guys. But I mean, that is a serviceable arm that also is durable throughout a year. He didn't. There was really maybe 1 or 2 outings where you're like, all right, maybe this isn't it. But just, I think Tim Hill is one of those. He was an unsung hero for the Yankees last year, and I think it's neglect to just dismiss him.
Yeah, I mean, you think about it. We were asking for him to be the guy in Game 1 of the World Series. Like, who would have thought? If you would have told me when the Yankees picked up Tim Hill that we would have been begging for him to be the arm they brought out instead of Nestor Cortez, I would have said you were crazy. No one is saying that he's like the answer. No one is saying that he's like Josh Hader, but he
doesn't need to be.
Exactly. He'd be cheap. He'd be a lefty. We need that. We don't have any. And it would just bring an extra dynamic to our bullpen because we have added like 3 or 2 strikeout guys. And we needed that. But Tim Hill can be that side. He's a sidewinder from the left side. He's tricky. And whatever he did with Matt Blake worked. So, yeah, Brad, you're right. So I think if you go that route, you bring him back on a very cheap 1-year deal. There's no risk there because if he turns out to be bad, you can just cut him loose. And it's not like you're going to be sacrificing $10 million to bring him in. He probably wouldn't be that expensive. Now, if he's asking for too much, then obviously you go another direction. Yeah. You can go the trade route. There's plenty of lefties that would be available from selling teams, not competing teams. Like the Cardinals are open for business. They have 2 lefties in Romero and John King that I would love to get. The Marlins are always trading guys no matter what their service time is or how many years of control. I love Andrew Nardi. I would love to see if they'd make him available for the right price. So Cashman has options on the left side of the bullpen. That's why I think he hasn't done anything yet. But we'll see what they do. The good thing is there are plenty of options out there, and they're good options from the left side. Tim Hill was really good for us, and we don't need him to be the best reliever in baseball because we have a really good 8-9 combination, and we have plenty of guys that can be the 7th inning guy. Cruz could be that dude because his strikeout stuff is phenomenal. Mark Leiter could even be that guy because he was great in the postseason for us. Could it be Ian Hamilton? Could it be F. Ross? They have plenty of options that whoever we add from the left side is going to be like a middle relief type anyway. So you don't have to go and get like a premier arm. You just got to get a good arm from the left side.
I mean, just look at his numbers. His numbers were quite terrific over the since becoming a Yankee from Chicago. What a difference! What a difference! So Matt Blake obviously worked with him and got his ERA right down. With the White Sox, his ERA was touching 6. And with the Yankees, it was just a flat 2. 205 ERA. The WHIP went right down from 222, which is far too high, to just 1. I mean, that is a massive difference. And overall, he was 3-0 with a 2 ERA. And even better than that, in the playoffs, he was excellent. I mean, what more do you want? I mean, his WHIP was under 1. It was like 0.70. He had an ERA of just 1. And he was cooking in the playoffs. And obviously, we're not going to go through revisionist history. We all know that Boone should have brought him in when he didn't. So that's an answer to one of the people in the chat. But we're not going to go into that again. But I'll tell you what, Tim Hill was very good. I mean, he's just no one's saying that he's like, he's a world beater, but he's a very solid arm, and we need a lefty arm. And I think it would behoove the Yankees to bring him back on a 1-year deal. And as you say, if he struggles, fine. You know what I mean? It's no big deal. It's no biggie. You'll probably get him back in a cheap, and I think he'll be more than serviceable. So I hate to do this, but I really don't understand why Li has hopped in this chat and he's saying stuff like Tim Hill is overrated. Tim Hill saying, I mean, what are you talking about? Who's rating Tim Hill anything other than he's just a very solid lefty arm, which he is. That's it. It's really
because he doesn't listen to reason, and if he keeps it up, he'll.
You know what I'm saying?
On the second website.
Yeah. No one's saying that he's freaking Mike Stanton. He's none of that. He's just a very solid arm. That's it.
He was great for us. That's all it is. Sorry, Tats. I just want to get this out of the way. He was good for us last year. So you can call it a fluke all you want. There's a reason no one else can see your comments besides us, by the way. And he wasn't a fluke. He was good. He was a product of Matt Blake. Go ahead and bring him back on a cheap 1-year deal. You're acting like we're saying pay the guy $15 million. He doesn't know how to listen to people. But I don't want to keep bringing the chat to him because this is what he does. But enough is enough of this crap. It's a good arm to a bullpen that doesn't have any lefties. Now, if there are better options out there, go and get those options. But Jesus Christ, you're talking about a guy that was really good for us and we want to bring him back on a cheap 1-year deal? Hard pass. Go get Yuki Matsui. Okay, Brian Cashman, call up the fucking Padres and trade for him if it's so goddamn easy. Jesus Christ, can we get rid of him, please, Tats?
I know. This is the stupidest comment. I would love to see the Yankees trade Leiter, Cousins, Hamilton, Brubaker, and Frost. Bring our entire system, you maniac!
Well, who's going to pitch in the pen?
No, right. That's it. I'm not talking about him again. I have to. I'm sorry. You keep bringing this on yourself. You're a moron. Right. So let's talk about the fun stuff. We got other possible names that we can acquire, and one of them, and you can see Robinho's tagline under his name. But I didn't shoot the deputy. I shot the sheriff. I want me some Andrew Chafin. That's what I want. Give me some Chafin. Chafin's actually one of my favorite relievers. I love the name. And I love that badass Tash. I think him and Tats would be friends. With that handlebar Tash. So I want me some Chafin. And I think Chafin can be acquired actually on a free agent deal fairly cheap. I think you could probably get him in $3 million range, and he's very very experienced. And so let's pass it off to Rob. Why do you think Andrew Chafin would be a good acquisition for the Yankees?
Because he's a lefty. We need him. He's a lefty and he's a good lefty. And he's a guy that no matter how old he's gotten, no matter where he's pitched, Detroit and Arizona now, he's been good. He's been solid. He's been reliable. And that's all we're looking to add because we're not trying to add a closer here. No one we pick up from this point forward is going to be asked to pitch the ninth inning. These are going to be guys that are come in the middle of the ball game if the starter can't go 6. So you're looking at 5th, 6th inning, maybe even 7th. So I think Andrew Chafin would fill that role perfectly. Now, there's been some conversation that he doesn't want to pitch in New York, and why would a guy called Big Country want to come to the Bronx? Well, he did pitch in Detroit, so there's money speaks. If the Yankees give him a good 1-year offer, even a 2-year deal, it'd be hard for him to pass that up, especially considering the bullpen market hasn't really moved. So if the Yankees come calling and say, we'll give you like $5 or $6 million for a 2-year deal, even a 1-year deal, it's hard to pass that up, especially when the bullpen market hasn't really taken off yet. So I love the dude. And I know he probably have to cut that hair, which is a shame. That's part of his aura. That is what they say nowadays. But if they can go get him, by all means, go bring him in. We're looking at 2 solid lefty arms that we can bring in on the cheap, 2 veteran lefties, and that would complete this bullpen. I'd say go get it done.
And just for those in the chat, we aren't actually just coming up with names on the top of our head. This is actually coming from John Heyman, the New York Post. He says, and I quote, Andrew Chafin is high on the Yankees list of lefty pen targets. Easy for me to say. Tim Hill is too. Chafin spent the 24th season with the Tigers and the Rangers, going 4-3 with a 3.50 ERA, a whip of 1.4. It's okay. 70 strikeouts and 1 save in 56 innings. That's actually pretty good numbers right there. Chafin has had a very, very good career. He's had, he's been around. He's probably touched every organization in the majors at one point. I mean, he's been in the Tigers, he's been in the Rangers, he's been a Brewer, he's been a Diamondback, he was a Tiger again. He was even in the Athletics. He was a Cub, and he was Diamondback for like 6 years, 7 years. So he's a very experienced guy, and I think that would be a smart target. This is a guy that can eat innings out of the bullpen and give you very solid numbers. Get you some strikeouts, and move it along. That's all we're really asking. We're not asking for world beaters. We're just asking just to move it along to get to Luke Weaver and then Williams. I'm actually really, if we can acquire one of Hill and Chafin, I mean, ideally both, but one or the other, you have to feel pretty good about the bullpen. I actually feel okay about it. I didn't feel good about it last year because we all know about Clay Holmes. I knew that this was going to be a disaster waiting to happen, and it was. He was never a closer, and the Yankees kept pigeonholing him into being a closer, and it blew up in their face. But this year, they've got a plan, and it's coming together. Luke Weaver was a wonderful acquisition. He looks like a steal. An absolute steal. And now you're kind of set up by getting Williams and Weaver in there. You just need a couple of solid middle relievers, a couple on a solid lefty arm, and the Yankees bullpen is in good shape to go and coincide with the strongest rotation in the American League. That's where I'm feeling anyway. So I'm quite excited to see what they can do. I would love Chafin, though, as a priority. Tats, what do you think, man? How much do you think it would cost to get Chafin in?
Well, it's more what are we willing to spend as opposed to what we're willing, what it's going to cost. I think because of the way the budget is, we're still sitting at 303 for the payroll this year. If they're able to move, Stroman, I think that really opens up an option to really get a legitimate bullpen piece like Chafin, and I saw Ken's comment that he has trouble with lefties, but I mean, on his Savant page, he still has a 97% chase rate.
Woo!
He's got his whiff rate is 96, his K rate is 85. I mean, that's what you need in your pen from the left side. Especially, it's very rare you're going to see, three lefties in a row that's going to really hinder, that's going to throw the inning off with the three-batter rule. So, you have to play the odds there. And I think the odds are in favor with Chafin that he would fit in very well because there's also he's not the guy we're bringing in to lean on. So I that's why I like the option of Chafin along with Hill, with Hill. And it's going to take moving Stroman to make one of those moves, unless they're really willing to just keep the six-man rotation and go over the tax a little bit.
I highly doubt they're going 6-man unless they got Sasaki.
Right now we have 6 starters.
But there's no reason to do that though. Like they would have to trade somebody. Now Clark Schmidt would get you more of a return, but I wouldn't trade him unless we had a guarantee from Roki Sasaki. But even then, you kind of need a 6-man rotation for Sasaki. That's the thing. Like a lot of reporters are saying that if you get Sasaki, you would have to go 6-man rotation because he hasn't thrown that many innings, and the Dodgers are perfectly equipped for that. We aren't really. I don't want to base all this on Sasaki, but I think Stroman's getting dealt. It's just a matter of time, and that's going to open up the payroll for 2 lefties. Maybe a little more expensive. Maybe they go the trade route and it doesn't cost them that much. But again, Stroman needs to be moved. But they're already over it now. So I don't know if another $7 million total for 2 lefties is going to be too crazy to them. Maybe they just say screw it and go over the tax again. I said this the other day. That's always a possibility. The Dodgers just did it. Their payroll's like $350 right now. It's unbelievable. But I mean, we'll see. There's still plenty of time. I think they will eventually trade Stroman because it's just going 6-man rotation, especially if there's 6 mans like making $18 million. That just doesn't seem to be the right way to go.
No.
So according to Fangraphs, they got Chafin in the range of around about 4.75 mil AAV for a single season. I mean, I think that's pretty reasonable. You could even probably get that down a little bit. I wonder if you can get that into the 3 mil range, 3.5 mil range, and if you get that, I think that's a very cheap deal if you can get that done. I'm very happy to hear that John Heyman mentioned him because I think that's someone that the Yankees should be targeting. I think he's a very good reliever. So let's hope that the Yankees can free up some room for that. I really don't want the Yankees to be focusing so much about this hard line, 300 mil. I mean, if you're looking at the Dodgers, what's the Dodgers payroll right now? What is it, 350?
It's like 356 or something like that. Even with deferrals, they're still well over the 301. They don't care. And I think that's why Passan's getting attacked on Twitter because he was very pro-Dodger the other day. But what he said was completely true. Other teams should follow that mold. I'm not saying they all have to spend 350, but that's a World Series team that keeps adding. And they know they're going to make their money. So he's saying there's owners that should follow the same suit that could absolutely do that. We're one of them. But he didn't mention specific teams, but the Yankees are one of those teams that can absolutely put their payroll even higher. I know Hal Steinbrenner said it's not sustainable, but you think about how much money they probably just made from that playoff run, just off ticket sales alone. Come on, you tell me they can't go over 300 for one more year? They absolutely can. They don't want to, and I get it because of the tax. They're getting penalized for other teams and having to give their money to teams that don't want to spend, but they can absolutely afford it.
That's where I'm standing with it too. Jared says he can't stand the Dodgers. I don't have an issue with the Dodgers. I actually respect the Dodgers because they want to get better. They won the World Series and they're not done. They're not even done. They're like, no, we can continue to get better. I like that. To be honest, that was the Yankees mentality in the 90s and early 2000s. They already had the biggest payroll, the best team, and they were like, no, we ain't done. Every offseason, look to try to get better. So to be honest, if anything, I think the Yankees should be looking at the way the Dodgers do things. I mean, the Dodgers bank account manager is an absolute genius. They're salary cap because they keep getting guys to defer their money into 20 freaking 60 and shit. I mean, that's pretty impressive. So I mean, I can't hate on them for it. They're just doing what what their fan base would love them to do, and that's what they're doing. So I mean, that's pretty cool. I respect that, to be honest. Tats, Rob, do you guys agree?
No, I agree 100%. There's nothing stopping any team from doing it the way they do it. I have no ill will towards the Dodgers. Look, they beat us in the World Series. You could even, we made the argument that we beat ourselves. That's why it wasn't more of a competitive series. But the Dodgers are doing things that every team has the option to do. Then they don't have their own set of rules to construct their rosters and how they can, negotiate their salaries to their players. There's no stopping any team from doing contracts with deferrals. Mm-hmm. Whether the owner and the GM of said team choose to operate that way is on them. And I think that was more of what Passon was trying to say.
Yeah, no, I agree with that. Rob?
No, I have no issues with the Dodgers. I put out a tweet about them, and 75 Dodgers fans were liking it, and they were telling me, like, oh, yeah, we won the World Series without... I know, you don't need to remind me how you guys beat us. There's a Yankee logo on my profile picture for a reason. I remember. I'm giving them their props because they got better. They were already good. They kept the same roster, essentially, and they got Blake Snell. They got Conforto. They're going to get Sasaki most likely, and they're probably not done because they can still add to the bullpen if they really wanted to. That's a juggernaut. It's the definition of a juggernaut. They are the heavy favorites. No matter who got Juan Soto, they are still the heavy favorites in the National League, and they're still the heavy favorites to win it all again. That could be a dynasty right there. And there is no rule saying that you can't spend that money. You're just going to get taxed for it. And they said, okay, fine, tax us. We're going to keep winning, and we're going to keep making money for every playoff run we go on. You want to tax us? Fine. There's no rule saying you can't defer money. So what do they keep doing? Deferring money. And is it going to bite them in the ass down the line? Probably not, because they're owned by like 4 billionaires. Like Magic Johnson's an owner, whoever else is an owner. Like they got money coming out their ass. And that's what Jeff Passan was saying. They print money. They have a bunch of billionaire owners. They get ticket sales from all over the globe because people are coming to watch Ohtani and Yamamoto and eventually Sasaki. They're getting money they're selling merch overseas because of those players. That's a money printing machine out there in LA. How can I be mad at that? Because, guys, Donald said this a few weeks ago, we'd be very hypocritical if we were mad about what the Dodgers are doing. We did it. Maybe not as extreme in terms of the spending, but we were doing it, and we were spending money left and right. Not on great players, though. I'll tell you, some of those contracts were terrible. The Dodgers, everyone they brought in, good. They're good players. So, why can I wish more teams would follow that model. I'm not saying everyone has to have a $350 payroll, but if you have it, spend it. That's what I say. If you have the money, it's not my money. So a lot of people are complaining. It's like, oh, that's ridiculous. But they're not taking money. They're not going over to Tats and saying, excuse me, sorry, got to take that, and ripping his wallet out of his pocket and saying, we're going to use this to give to Shohei Ohtani. No, they're spending their own money. So why are we all mad about how teams spend their money?
Yeah, let's not forget that we had a lineup of A-Rod, Jason Giambi, Gary Sheffield. I mean, it was stacked. It was the most ridiculous lineup ever, and it came from having a very open pocketbook. So, I mean, I'm not going to be hypocritical, but let's get back to the Yankees. Right, here we are. Here we're at this. We're out to $300 million, right? Personally, it ain't my money. I don't care. To be honest, I want the Yankees to go and acquire Bregman, but I understand because the AAV, say he signed on $25 million AAV, right? That would actually be about $50+ million AAV this year, considering we're over the $300 million and then it's tax double. So that's I understand that would be a hesitation, but the Yankees made a fortune from having Juan Soto for 12 months. That 12 months, the Soto was in the building. The Yankees sold out every single game. Yankee fans traveled to every road game, and they went and they filled out the seats at every playoff game and spent crazy money, literally crazy money, to go and watch that team. The Yankees made a fortune. they can more than afford 1 year of going over the Cohen tax. Let's be honest, because a ton of money is coming off the books next year. It really is. The Yankees don't need to go on a crazy spending spree next year. Like if they say they acquired a Bregman at third base, the only thing that the Yankees would maybe need to look at would be acquiring either a first baseman or Tucker, and that's not going to cost $40 million for AAV for one of those guys. So I mean, that's all the Yankees would need to maybe do. So you would think of it as maybe okay, so they're overpaying for one for this year, maybe because of the tax, but down the line, next year wouldn't be an issue. So I think the Yankees should go and make that. I think the Yankees should make it happen because really, we're looking at the chat. The chat is all absolutely spot on. Reason why the Yankees lost the World Series was not because the Dodgers were infinitely a better team. The Yankees beat themselves because of fundamentals. And what better than have a Gold Glove third baseman that can absolutely shore up that infield? Because the biggest reason why the Yankees didn't win the World Series is their infield defense. So I would make that deal. I know we're going to have future episodes. We're going to talk about third base, but we're talking about the payroll, and I know I'm not Hal Steinbrenner. I'm not the account manager, but I'd be perfectly happy if the Yankees went over the Cohen tax for this year, and to compete in the arms race with the Dodgers and the Mets. Rob, what would you say to that?
I agree. Because even if you move Stroman, you'd have to make a trade because the free agent market for infielders, and you got to add bullpen arms as well. You're not going to be able to trade Stroman and add those three players and stay under 300. It'd be very difficult to do that because even if you get a free agent like I've seen a lot of people throw around Moncada's name or Ha-Sung Kim, who's not going to be ready till like mid-season anyway, but he's not going to take like a $5 million deal. Like Kim's going to probably get like 12 or 13 million. And then you're looking at the bullpen arms, it's going to cost you like a total of maybe 10 million, up to 10 million. Stroman's money's not going to account for that because you're already over now, and you'd probably have to eat some of Stroman's money anyway just to move him. You're going to have to go over 300. This roster's not complete. I think this roster as constructed right now is good. It's probably still the best roster in the American League, but you have a chance to make it infinitely better with just a couple of moves. We're only a few moves away. One of them is an infielder. I don't care if it's second or third base. I would take Bregman right now because, like you said, everyone would then be playing at their natural position. Jazz would be at second. He doesn't have to move, but it would be ideal if we can get a third baseman and Jazz goes back to where he's most comfortable. Goldschmidt's a much better first baseman than Rizzo is at this point. Volpe's a great shortstop. Your defense is now the outfield is the best it's ever been in a long time at least. Yeah.
Yep.
You have Judge back in right. Bellinger's a Gold Glover in center, and Dominguez should be okay in left. That's really your biggest concern is left field. That's a big concern because left field's difficult, but one infielder could change the entire dynamic of this team. Because then you can go very cheap for the bullpen addition. You could maybe just get one lefty because last year I think we went into the playoffs with technically two because they'd used Nestor, but it was really like just Tim Hill. So maybe they only need one because they have a bunch of guys that can get lefties out. So maybe they go in that route. I'm not sure what they do next, but I think if you want to really get back to the World Series, you have to go over 300 again.
Yeah, I don't think the Yankees should be paying attention to the final number. It's like I said last show. If we were going to have to blow through it anyway if we retain Soto. So why stop now? Because you're still not going to reach where you would have had to go. So whether it's not like we're going to end up with 350. Maybe we end up with with 315, 320. Which is not a catastrophic difference. From 300. If we go 301 to 315, is it really going to set the Yankees back for years? Is it really going to affect next year's offseason? It's not. This is easy for these guys. The Yankees print money. They print it. It's and I know a lot of people are saying with the prices to go into games, we've gone over this. The secondary market. Look, Donald and I, we went to a game on the fly.
Yeah.
while he was in the States. And what it cost us for the 2 tickets, $20.
Yeah.
And we were in the bleachers, So it's, there are ways around it. Standing room. So you got to get a little creative when attending these games. If it's really that hard for you, look, nobody's forcing you to have to go. There's a lot of times I'm like, you know what? I'd rather just sit on my couch and watch the game. And then there are times where you want to go to the game, hang out with friends, see your favorite players in person. Yeah, you should go to 1 or 2 games a year. You don't have to go to every game like some fans do. So, it's stay within your means. That's all that is. But there are definitely there are many alternate ways to get to a game that it is affordable for a family. You just trust me, do a little research, and your family will have a great day out. But that is, back with the luxury tax, I don't think it's that big a deal. The one thing I don't like about is the small market teams not reinvesting the money that they're getting from the big market. That's my biggest gripe about the luxury tax. If teams are going to purposely outbid everybody, and where you have a majority of teams that don't have a shot, then yeah, I can see a team like the Pirates do not have the same pockets as the Yankees, Mets, and Dodgers. To try to say that they're on equal footing is not fair. But let's not act like these sport team owners, are living in the poorhouse. They're not.
Yeah, I mean, let's look at the chat. We got Reggie LeGray saying the Marlins are a money laundering scheme. Well, I think that's why Jeter left, bro. And Graham Highlander says, I think they will sit on things till they see where Bregman signs and what he actually gets. We have other comments. Roy Estrada, good morning. Pinstripes, Happy New Year, and hope to see you in 25. Go Dodgers. Thanks, Roy. Salute to you, man. Stevie B says, I pass on Bregman. That contract isn't going to age well. Don't need Donaldson 2.0. Well, I mean, to be honest, he wouldn't be Donaldson's age that we acquired him for another 5 or 6 years. Josh Donaldson was ancient when we acquired him. Bregman's still 30, and there's still 5 good years left in him. And to be honest, we're not asking him to be, a 40 home run guy, even a 30 home run guy. If he gives you a 270, 280 batting average and 20 plus home runs and 80 RBIs and an OPS of 780, between 780 and 800, I think that's well worth the money. Plus his Gold Glove defense, I think that would well worth the money, considering it would strengthen the lineup. The lineup is now secure, and then you've secured your infield defense. That's why I make that deal. At the end of the day, I know that Hal has principles, and I agree with his principles. I mean, we all agree with his principles. You don't need to spend $300 million to put together a winning team. That is true. There's no lie there. But if you have the money to do it, right? Because it behooves you in the long run. So there's that. And also, these principles, all it does is it's just going to go and punch you in the nose. Because if you're deliberately not going to acquire a third baseman or deliberately not going to acquire the bat you need or the arm you need just because you have a principle that we shouldn't be over 300 mil, then even though you can afford it, then all it's going to do is punch you in the nose when we get to October and we're once again left holding the bag, carrying the bag for another team to win it. And I mean, I'm sorry, we might be the best team in the American League, only might, but we're nowhere near what the other teams in the National League are right now. So I'm not overly confident. Like if we even face the Mets in a World Series, Dodgers, the Padres, all those teams are better. The Phillies, arguably better too. There's a bunch of really good teams in the National League. Yankees ain't there yet. So, and also the American League just got a little bit better. The Astros have made some nice moves, and I do. I like the Astros lineup. Their pitching I don't love, but that can still improve. But their lineup is pretty good. So I don't think the Yankees are a lock to win anything right now, unless they acquire a third baseman, a good one, a quality one, plus a lefty reliever. And I think the Yankees will have a complete roster. Rob?
Yeah, and I understand where people are coming from because right now his price tag is reportedly ridiculous, but that's why I said the other day, if in a month from now, not even a month, a couple of weeks, the Yankees are waiting for Sasaki, which I don't think they're going to get him. If Bregman's still available, and it could become a Bellinger situation where he still gets a high AAV, but you're going to get significantly less years. The longer you wait, the less you're going to get. It's just that's how it works. Remember we talked about the Boris Five. They all took less deals. Now, eventually, Chapman signed an extension with the Giants, but it didn't work out the way those players wanted to. Montgomery opted in just to spite the Diamondbacks, and Blake Snell opted out and got paid even more, so it worked out for him. But Bregman could be looking at that if they don't drop that price tag. Same thing goes for Pete Alonso. Those are both Boris agents, and once again, he's pricing his players a bit too high that no one wants to pay them. Now, Alex Bregman would fit like 4 or 5 teams right now. The Yankees, the Red Sox, the Mets, Tigers. There's probably another team that I'm missing, but those are all teams that should be in on that player. But is he asking for too much? I mean, you also got to remember, you get penalized for signing people. You lose 2 picks for some reason. You got to give up your picks to sign a player who's a free agent, and you got to give up international money. I understand. Do it like the NFL, where you get compensated for a player, but you don't take away from that team's draft pool. Like, why should the why should the Mets have to give up their picks because they signed Juan Soto? Why should the Yankees have to give up their picks because they got Max Fried? The Orioles just got like the 31st pick because Corbin Burns signed with the Diamondbacks, or the 30th pick. And if when Santander signs elsewhere, they're going to get the 31st pick. Why are they getting compensated? Like, why are other teams losing their picks and it's going to the other team? Like, because they didn't want to spend? Like, the qualifying offer rules are just so funky, and that's why teams are not signing players. That's why we didn't get Christian Walker. Mm-hmm. It's just it's such a dumb rule that you're going to penalize a team for signing a free agent. They're not restricted free agents. They're just free agents. Why are you being penalized? Why are you penalizing teams for doing that?
Exactly. If they're a restricted free agent, that would make sense. But as a straight free agent, you are no longer contractually obliged to your previous organization. So why should that team get compensation? That's stupid. So you're actually gaining from losing your best player because you didn't want to pay him. That doesn't make any sense. And then the other team who actually has the money to go and acquire this person ends up having to give up picks for that. Baseball is so skewed, and it really comes down to the MLBPA and Manfred. It's like their logic is skewed, and they wonder, why people are tuned up, because I mean it's so stupid. You're basically helping teams that want to tank. That's what you're doing. You're helping teams that want to tank because there's no salary floor, and so if teams don't want to spend any money whatsoever, that's absolutely fine, and they'll get compensation from the Yankees, Dodgers, and Mets in order for them to do nothing. And then when they let a player go, then they'll get draft picks in return. So they really teams don't need to compete at all. I mean, that's freaking insane. So that's a big middle finger to the fan bases of these teams that pay good money to go and watch a product that their team isn't interested in being the best. That's why it's so skewed. It's a completely skewed situation. So Hal Steinbrenner is 100% right with how the situation is broken, and it needs. Jared says it's insane. It is. It needs to be amended in the next time they sit down and come together. But right now, this is the market that we're in. This is the waters that they're swimming in, and you just have to swim or you're going to sink. So the Yankees just have to put aside their they're being pissed off that they have to pay all this obscene amount of money for teams that don't want to compete, and they just have to get along with the ride that the Dodgers and the Mets are on, and go and put together the very best team that you could possibly do. Because the Yankees make a ton of money. 2023, they made $690 million, which is more than the Mets, more than the Dodgers, and that isn't even taking into account what Juan Soto's 12 months at Yankee Stadium would have done, plus the World Series run. The Yankees probably made almost $1 billion. I've not seen the numbers yet, but I guarantee it'll be very close to that. So if it's 1 year where the Yankees have to go way over the cone tax to put together the best team they can to try and get back to the World Series 2 years in a row, I don't think there'll be a single Yankee fan that'll be pissed off at that.
Yeah, one you guys know as well as anybody in the chat. There's nothing that triggers me more than the words qualifying offer. Trust me, I hate it. I hate it. Like you guys said, it makes no sense to punish a team for wanting to improve their roster. Like if those rules were applied to the trade deadline, where you can trade picks instead of players, that would make more sense than having to lose picks in free agency. Like there's no rational logic to it.
And there's like 30 rounds in the draft anyway. So what the hell are we doing here? Like it just it doesn't make sense. Like, and Ken brought up a great point earlier. Like the system is so weird because we only got like a 4th round pick for Soto, who signed for like the richest contract ever, and yet when we signed Free, we had to give up 2 picks, and if we signed Bregman, we got to give up 2 more plus IFA money. Like this is why teams are hesitant to sign players.
Yep.
And it's stupid because it hurts the player in the long run. It's like, you're telling me the Detroit Tigers can't go sign Alex Bregman right now. They could, but they're probably like, well, we'd have to give up 2 picks in IFA money to do it. That's stupid. Why should you be penalized? You want to give the other team compensatory pick? Fine. But don't penalize the Tigers for trying to make their team better. It's just stupid.
Graham Highlander, he's posing this question. Why do you think we didn't put a qualifying offer on Gleyber, as we wouldn't have gained a draft pick? He would have bent our hand off for the contract for the qualifying offer. It isn't a fair system. That's right. So the Yankees had to let go of one of the top 10 second basemen in baseball. I mean, there's some people that don't love him, whatever. But by all metrics, all put together, he is a top 10 second baseman in all of baseball. The Yankees let him go without putting together a qualifying offer because they couldn't risk him taking that offer. And so the Yankees don't then get a draft pick when he goes and signs elsewhere to the Tigers. So, I mean, I can totally understand that. And that's the system that we're living in. Of course, Brad says he would have accepted the playing offer, the qualifying offer, and that's it. He would have absolutely taken it. That's right. He absolutely would have. And so I'm not saying that the Yankees should have given him a qualifying offer, but again, it's more about the system that we're in. The Yankees, had they signed somebody like a Walker, shouldn't be docked draft picks, considering they've lost 2 major parts of their lineup in Juan Soto and Gleyber Torres. I mean, basically, if you look at our playoffs, 3 guys showed up in the playoffs. It was Soto, and it was Torres, and it was Stanton. 2 of the 3 are going to be gone starting 2025. So, and the Yankees would get docked draft picks because they want to go and try and make up for some of the home runs and the numbers that they've lost from letting go of those 2 guys. Doesn't seem like a fair system. It's a really stupid system, actually, and it needs to be amended, man. It's really dumb, but it is what it is. This is the waters that we're in, and I really hope that they sort this out.
No, and the other thing I don't like about the qualifying offer is it goes, with the how much money it would have cost to keep him, because he would have accepted the deal. We're going to keep Torres, like Gregory put it in the chat, $21.5 million. No, thank you. And if it was, if it was between him and a couple of other smaller guys, maybe. you kick the tires as the offseason comes to an end if he's still available and you have a hole to fill, but not at this stage. I'm like I said the other day, I'm glad that he found a home. I wish him well. I think under, with the Tigers, I think he's going to have a very good year. He's actually under a manager now that actually will keep him in line.
That's true.
Brad,
AJ is a very good manager.
Manager. It's the draft picks. The whole thing just gets me all. I'm trying not to go into a whole cursing rant. I hate the qualifying one. It's got to go.
When it says Gleyber is now the Tigers' problem, good riddance to him. I think that's a little harsh on Gleyber. Rob, what would you say to that?
Again, like I said the other day, I wish him well. I'm not going to miss him that much, though. He's not a problem. I mean, defensively, he could be, but he's a good bat.
Mm-hmm.
Good bat, iffy defense, can be a very good defender. We saw that a couple of years ago. He was very solid at second when they moved him back there. It's just when he gets into a slump, he kind of gets into his own head.
Yeah.
But it's also at the same time. Right. I'm not – I know Sierra is a huge fan, and she's like guaranteeing he's going to go off this year. Bearded Gleyber is going to have himself a career year. I don't think any of that's going to happen, or else he probably would have signed a much larger contract. Only got 1 year.
It's true.
He'll probably end up doing what he did last year, maybe a little bit better, but the guy had one of his worst seasons, so he absolutely would have took that $21 million. You kidding me? Would have took it and laughed as he did.
Absolutely. I mean, if you look at the metrics, there's nothing to support offering him the qualifying offer. There's absolutely nothing to support that. His numbers, that's the reason why he only signed a 1-year deal. But the Yankees still will need to address that bat, though, because he was a good offensive player, especially second half of the year. Once Aaron Boone sat him down for that game, Torres was a different player from that point on. And you got a different tune out of me because up to that point, I was campaigning for Torres to get benched because he was a complete airhead, and it was nigh on disgraceful. Drove Stroman insane. But once he got sat, he was a different player, and he was actually pretty damn good whole rest of the way. He was phenomenal actually in the playoffs. So. You know what? Maybe a good manager like AJ Hinch sitting him down, holding him accountable. You keep Gleyber focused, you'll get a decent player out of it. I'm not going to dance. I'm not going to dance like a jig of joy that he's not here. I'm not particularly going to miss him. I agree with that, but I wouldn't say addition by subtraction with him. I still think you actually need to have an addition. So there is still a glaring hole in that infield, and it better not be filled by DJ LeMahieu and Oswaldo Cabrera. It better not be. I would be very pissed.
That's the worst thing they can do. I've seen Chris brought up Ha-Seong Kim again. That I would like that, but if he's not ready, you're gonna have to go with like a good 2, maybe even 3 months of DJ LeMahieu. And I don't want that. I don't want to lock Cabrera into one position. Because what happens if, let's just say they do sign Kim and they go with Jazz at third, and when Kim's healthy, he becomes a second baseman. What if Cabrera is playing out of his mind? Then you got to bench him. What if DJ actually does have a solid 3 months? You got to bench him then? Like, I don't know. I don't know if you can take that risk. Same thing goes for Peraza, Chris. Like, if Peraza comes out and starts the season and just hits the crap out of the ball, and he's a good defender, he's running the bases well, he's checking all the boxes, it's going to be hard to say bench that player. I like Ha-Seong Kim a lot. He's a phenomenal defender. He was fantastic 2 years ago at second base. But I don't know if he's the answer for the offense. If you're going to go with a defensive guy who can also provide a bat, go get Alex Bregman. Or make a trade. I mentioned Lau's name a lot. I mentioned Bohm's name a lot. I think those 2 players are going to be difficult to get. I've seen Young from the Tigers being brought up. He's a very young guy. There's a pun. But would the Tigers make him available? I don't know. So again, you're very limited. The third base and infield market in general is so limited that Arenado is like the second best option. That's what it's looking like. And Arenado would be more of a Josh Donaldson 2.0. Like that's how barren the waters are. the desert, basically, for infielders right now. It's Bregman and Arenado. And Ha-Seong Kim, who's not going to be healthy till like mid-season. So you really have very limited options. That's why I think the Yankees just say screw it and go get Bregman. But I don't run the team. Hal Steinbrenner does. It's up to him.
Yeah, I mean, listen, we're going to discuss it again in our next podcast. We'll discuss the whole DJ LeMahieu situation. But this guy's a declining player. He had 40 hits last year, 40, and over 200 at bats. He is cooked. He is cooked. He is cooked. Don't keep wasting time with it. It's the dead horse. Don't keep beating it. He had 40 hits last year and 200 at bats. Bat 200. And his defense was not good. Well, it was okay. It wasn't great. It was okay. And every other aspect, brutal. He's shot. He is shot. Don't do it. Please don't do it. I'm begging the Yankees not to do this. And I'm a big DJ LeMahieu fan. I'm not a hater. In fact, if there's anyone, I would defend him. But I can't defend him in this situation. I can't defend 40 hits. He had 125 strikeouts the year before. And how did he return? A much worse year in 2024. 40 hits. His batting average dropped from 240 to 200. What's it going to be in 2025? What is it going to be? 160? Yep. Right. There we go. So
it was what, late June when we went to the game that he hit his first home run.
Right. That's right. We were at that game. We were actually
that was the highlight of this year.
That was the first time DJ actually had an extra base hit, and I think it was like 2-3 months. And we were actually there for the game where he actually got that. So
that was his good. Yeah, that great game he had. We were there. We were like, right. All right. And then that was the end of it.
And that was it for him. We never did anything after that. So that was just a one-off for us. DJ was hurt 50% of the time. He certainly is. But that's because
the problem.
It's because he's got a club foot. It's because he's got a club foot. What can we do? So anyway, let's close it up with our final thoughts. Let's circle back to where we think we're at going into New Year. Uncle T, where are you thinking we're at? Are you feeling pretty good about where we're at?
No, I think that the bench could use a little tweaking. I'm not worried about bench players at this point. I'm looking for a legitimate starter to put in the infield with Jazz to solidify second or third, whichever one Cashman's able to pull off. If they're able to get a legitimate lefty in the bullpen, like a Chafin or Hill, and I think the team's ready to go. And the rest will be ironed out as we get into pitches and catches. Spring training, there's always something going on during that time period. But I think if those two things, an infielder and a lefty arm out of the pen, then I think we could say that it turned out to be a very good offseason for Cashman and Hal.
I agree with that. Rob.
Yeah, man. I was terrified when we lost Soto because I didn't know where Cashman was going to go. We all had our plans, and we were all pretty much in alignment of what we wanted them to do. Donald apparently had a crystal ball because they got all the players he wanted, but and they might get a fourth player if they bring in Chafin. That was also on his list, but I think Cashman has had a phenomenal offseason to this point, and one or two more moves can make it arguably his best since like 2009, for being honest, or 08 going into 2009. He's filled all the needs. He's checked the boxes so far. He's made this team it had a different approach, going with the run prevention instead of just trying to beat you down. Now, they still need another bat because this offense is not complete, but let's see what they do. They still got a good month and a half until pitchers and catchers, so there's plenty of time. The bullpen is one, maybe two arms away from being done. The rotation's done. There's still players you can move to free up some money.
Yep.
I think this team's ready to roll with one or two more moves, and I'm excited. I can't wait to see what's next. I think they're waiting to officially announce Goldschmidt before anything else happens, but I don't know why that's taken so long. But yeah, it's been a great offseason, and Happy New Year to everybody, because the next time we're on here, it's going to be 2025. It'll be our 5th season of talking Yankees baseball. So cheers to us, and cheers to everybody in the chat.
Amen. And just to follow up on that, Happy New Year to everybody when it comes. I hope you guys have a very safe and healthy and happy New Year, and celebrate it safely. And we'll circle back just to piss off that person in the chat who says, please don't use that word again. We will circle back on the Yankees in New Year's. And I just want to say a big personal thank you to everyone that has been such a supporter in 2024, because this was our best year as a podcast. Now, it's not been close. This has been by far our best year. We've gained an absolute ton of followers and subs and members, and it's all thanks to you guys that you want to check in with us on the mornings and listen to three old dudes talk about the Yanks. So it really means the world to us. And have a happy and safe New Year. And Uncle Tats, close us off with your favorite saying, my guy.
That's right. Let's make sure you hit that like button, hit that sub button, share this out with your friends, your family, the strangers on the corner. This is the Pinstripe Chronicles, where fans become family. So always remember to wear those pinstripes of pride and play hard.